Welcome back in. It is the combo here, the superpower team, WalterFootball.com, Odd Shopper. Walt, of course, the namesake, WalterFootball.com. I'm just here. I don't know how I was thrown into this mix, but I'm fortunate enough to be here because I'm learning like you out there are. We have to look at last week. We're down to 4 teams. One of those teams, our collective here, and Dan, who's producing, he's an Eagles fan for the hell of it for this show as well because our birds are still in this. We invite you to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe. We're going to tell you all about WalterFootball.com. There is a lot going on there, and including an offer we have here for DK. But, my friend, as always, it's a pleasure, first and foremost. A weird week last week. It was 2-2 here, but you made a necessary adjustment. So as much shit as I'd like to give you for going 2-2, you were technically 3-1 when it mattered most.
Yeah, so when the week began, the Bills-Bengals game, when the line opened up and I saw it, I was like, okay, I love the Bills. The Bengals have 3 offensive linemen injured. And then as the week progressed, it's like slowly and surely, like it moved toward the Bengals. And by the time we recorded on Thursday morning, I'm like, this is my least confident pick. I don't really know where to go. So I decided with the Bills. And then the next day, I'm like, I think I like the Bengals. And then by Saturday, I was like, yeah, I really like the Bengals going to make the change. It's because I thought that the Bills pass rush wasn't nearly wasn't very good at all against the Dolphins, so I didn't think they could take advantage of that. And also Joe Burrow, just an amazing track record covering the spread. He's now 33-11 against the spread when he's not favored by a touchdown or more. It's just insane. So I thought there was a good chance that he'd at least backdoor cover. I didn't think they'd dominate Buffalo. I don't think anyone did. But I made the note on the site that I changed the pick to the Bengals on Saturday, and I also commented on the video. So like whenever I make a change like that, I'll definitely make note of it. And we discuss it. I make pick updates throughout the week, and then sometimes I'll just change my mind and go with the other side. So that's what happened with that game.
And it's a great example, is what you said, of what you are doing. It's a live, living, breathing organism on WalterFootball.com. So you have the ability, like anybody who's paying attention to something, to say, hold on a second, new angle, new information. It's a human thing to take in something new or just reflect and look back and make a decision like that. So it's all on the books for everybody out there thinking we tried to slide one by you. No. Walt hit that one. Now we have 2 games to look at. Let's look at our birds here taking on the Niners at home. 2 tight lines as expected. A little different, though, when you talk about what happened with Mahomes and the injury. We'll get to that, Walter, but let's start with the Eagles hosting the Niners.
Yeah, so I made this line 3.5, and it opened up 2.5. So we have a difference of 1 point here, and people who are listening for the first time might be like, "Oh, 1 point, who cares?" Well, we're going across the key line of 3, and 3 is the most common result of any football game. 14% of the time in the NFL, it lands on 3. 20% of the time when the line is between 0 and 3.5. Just games that are supposed to be close. So if you take the 49ers plus 2.5, you're going to have a 1 in 5 chance of getting screwed over by having the game land on 3. So that's one reason why I love the Eagles in this game. Another reason is I think they have 3 big advantages over the 49ers defense, which is incredible. But I think they should be able to score. The first is that the Eagles have an elite offensive line, so they can nullify the 49ers pass rush. The second is Jalen Hurts can scramble around. And the 49ers before this year, they always struggled against Seattle because Russell Wilson could always scramble out of danger and make big plays. And I think it's going to be like the same thing. I don't think they're going to be able to pin Hurts down when they can get to him. And remember, Wilson always had a bad offensive line, and Hurts has a great offensive line. So I think that's a big advantage for the Eagles. Also, the Niners have really struggled against elite receivers. Just go back to week 17 against Devontae Adams. He torched them first round of the playoffs. DK Metcalf went off. Last week, CD Lamb was great. Those other teams had nothing else going on, though. The Eagles have 2 elite receivers with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So, and also Dallas Goedert. You can't forget about him. So I feel like the Eagles have way too many weapons for the 49ers. And then you go on the other side of the ball, you have Brock Purdy, who he's been great. Admittedly, like he's been a lot better than anyone thought. But he's only been tested by 1 defense so far, which was last week against the Cowboys. He almost threw a couple interceptions. He got bailed out by the Tony Pollard injury, and also Trayvon Diggs just not trying to dislodge the ball from George Kittle. And this is Purdy's first real road test. It's kind of insane that he's played almost nothing but home games in his career thus far. This is his 3rd road start. His first 2 were the first one's at Seattle, which is, we're talking about how bad Seattle is. The second one was at the Raiders, and there were so many 49er fans in that stadium. So this is actually like his first real road game against a good team. And you look at how he's done in his home road splits in college. When in college at Iowa State, he was 19-4 at home, but he was 11-13 in road and neutral site games against ranked teams. And I think, transposing this to college, I think the Eagles would count as a ranked team. He was 2-8 on the road against ranked teams.
Wow.
So he's a guy. I don't know why he plays so much better at home, but I feel like he's going to struggle. Also, it helps that the sharp bettors are on the Eagles. So I'll take all that into account. I love the Eagles to win by more than a field goal.
Real quick, I just want to follow up on something. It has nothing to do with the analysis that you laid out from an XNO football standpoint. I think you nailed each and everything there. One topic of conversation from a betting standpoint that I would just love to get your opinion on. It's been brought up a lot locally here, right? So take that for the grain of salt with where we live, heavy legalized betting areas in PA and New Jersey, now New York. There was concern that the line opened less than 3 for books not wanting to take anywhere near the amount of liability on San Francisco. And maybe that was a tell ahead of time. But it sounds like you don't believe that.
Yeah, so I actually got a message from my developer. He was like, I can't believe the Eagles aren't getting 3. That's so disrespectful. In the past, it would have been. I don't know when they made this change, but the sportsbooks have made an adjustment to how they grade home field.
Yep.
And it used to be 3, and now it's only 1 or 1.5. And I don't think people have realized that. So this spread of 2.5 is saying that the Eagles are 1 or 1.5 points better than the 49ers, which I think you can make the case that's true. I would make them about 2.5 points better. I've valued the Eagles highly all year, and I think the Niners are a little overrated based on Purdy's amazing track record so far. But like I said, he hasn't been tested on the road.
All right, let's look at the site because we're going to get to that second game, talk about Joe Burrow, the amazing run, the Chiefs, the injury, everything with that. But you guys are doing so much. You just gave a great live example as far as how the site is adjusting, and you want to stay on walterfootball.com for updated information about plays and picks. You have the NFL draft, which you guys just hammer coming around the corner. So there's a lot going on with walterfootball.com.
Yeah, updated picks throughout the week, which is important because of line changes, injuries, and if I feel differently about a game, I'll make a pick change. And you might be wondering, like, oh, when do I bet? Actually, I make a note when I lock a bet in. So that's something else that we update throughout the week. Usually don't lock in until later in the week, but sometimes I'll think that I don't want this line to move through a key number, so I'll lock it in then. So it really depends, and I make an announcement when I do. 2023 NFL mock draft updated on Tuesday. Updates every single week from both me and Charlie Campbell, our senior NFL draft analyst. He has the best inside sources. He nailed his first top 10 picks of his mock draft last year. So I'm looking forward to the nuggets that he's going to provide. The first event is the Senior Bowl, which is coming up. So he's going to have lots of inside info, and we'll break that at walterfootball.com.
Awesome. So we'll remind everybody again before we get out of here what we're doing also with DraftKings, but the second game, and it's interesting because, and again, depending on if you bought into the Wong teaser, right? Like you had the opportunity to tease the Niners at 2.5 with both teams now in this AFC Championship game from the start of the week with the Bengals to now the Chiefs, although that's flipped back to -1. So how do you see this crazy game with the line going so many different ways, Walt?
Yeah, it's weird. You could have teased them both.
I did, by the way.
Nice.
But I just need the Niners to cover, otherwise I'm screwed.
Yeah. I guess, you're rooting for that first game.
8.5. That's what I have San Fran at.
I hesitated. I talked about it on my show that we do on Tuesday. This is the obvious teaser. It was 49ers plus 8.5 and Chiefs plus 8.5. And I said, I don't think I'd bet it because, I could see that game going for the Eagles 49ers game going very ugly for the 49ers. Like Brock Purdy has been great so far, but I think if he throws an interception or two, it could really open the floodgates. I talked about how, even Tom Brady had an ugly game in his third year as a starter. He threw 4 interceptions against Buffalo and they lost 31-0. So something like that could happen. But it is the obvious teaser for sure. Like if you do want a teaser, so it could definitely hit. And you could have gotten both sides on this game. I like the Bengals. I know this line is moving toward the Chiefs. It's getting some sharp money on Kansas City. Sometimes the sharp bettors are wrong, and I think they're wrong in this case. I think this line is moving because Patrick Mahomes practiced fully on Wednesday, and there's a sudden notion that he's going to be okay. I mean, it was a couple of days ago when Tony Romo said he wouldn't even be able to walk. So I don't know. Like, yeah, he practiced fully, but I don't really buy it. I'm not sure if he can be healthy off a high ankle sprain. Maybe he just heals miraculously or something like that. Kind of like Adrian Peterson off that torn ACL where he ran for 2,000 yards the next year. But I think it's more likely than not that he's going to be like Phillip Rivers. Remember, he had that AFC Championship game where he tore his ACL the prior week. Billy Volek came in and then he started. Everyone thought Volek was going to start, but he started that game, and he played well. I mean, great considering the torn ACL, but he just wasn't quite himself. And he just couldn't get there against the Patriots that year in 2007. So I think it's going to be like that. I think Mahomes is going to look good at times, but he's just not going to be himself. He's not going to be able to scramble out of pressure, which is key because the Bengals get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And I think that the Bengals offense has a big matchup edge in this game because the Chiefs, of all the top 10 teams with pressure rates in the NFL, the Chiefs are among them. Only the Giants and the Cowboys blitz more than the Chiefs do. And Joe Burrow is the number one quarterback in the NFL against the blitz. He's so good against the blitz. He's the least blitz quarterback in the NFL. So the Chiefs are in a rough spot. Do they blitz Burrow to get pressure on him? If so, they get burned. If they don't blitz Burrow, he's just going to have so much time in the pocket, and he's going to be able to get the ball to all of his talented weapons. So yeah, I like the Bengals. I like that the line's moving against them. Not that like 1 and 2 are key numbers or anything, but games fall on 1 and 2, 4% each. So, you get a little bit of value, I guess. But either way, I like the Bengals. I think they should be able to win by maybe about a touchdown.
So the value here, just to follow up, and as we wind down, the value here was to take the Bengals on the money line when this thing first opened up, when they were at +2.5, and you could maximize the return. You're not losing anything now, as I see. The line has moved back through 0, so the Chiefs are at -1 in some areas. So you can still take advantage of plus money on the money line, but that seems to be the best way to play this.
Yeah, I think you could definitely do that. +1, like I said, 4% of the time. So if you think the Chiefs win by 1 for some reason, just take the +1. But I think the money line is definitely the way to go.
Awesome. Look, all right, so we've got the Eagles and the Bengals. That's one hell of a Super Bowl, and we're going to talk a lot about that as we lead up to this big, gigantic game. All right, WalterFootball.com will remind everybody one more time before we get out of here. But let me just say this. We're doing this on the Odd Shopper channel, so we want to remind you about how you can turn $5 into $200 on DraftKings. It's simple, it's easy. It doesn't even matter what you're betting. I was talking about you could put a $5 wager on Bellarmine. People don't even need to know where the hell that college is. Walter's laughing because I'm sure he's made some money off of them in the past. But the point is, it's simple. You click a link below, you sign up at DraftKings, it'll take you 90 seconds. Maybe somebody at your work, your home, wherever hasn't signed up. Be a hero. Tell them about the link, deposit $5 and only $5, and then place a wager. It doesn't even matter what game you're betting. It doesn't matter when the game starts. Place the $5, right back into your account comes the $200. And then you can head on over to WalterFootball.com and do some damage because you've got $200 of a bankroll on DK. And you, Walt, can explain once again if it's crushing the draft, if it's dailies, what you guys are doing. You can do some damage with $200 in bonus bets.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going to have draft props heading into the draft, especially the week up, because that's when all our information is going to come in through Charlie. And I've said this before on the show, we've nailed every single draft prop last year, except for extreme long shots, just based on Charlie's info. Like, he texted me, like, hey, the team X is taking this guy at number 4, number 10. And he was dead right, like, somehow. He's like, if he's there, they're going to take him. So it's just great info from Charlie. And I was so sad that we had betting limits on these sports books for the draft. You can only bet like a certain amount because I guess they probably know people have inside info. And I kind of felt like Martha Stewart placing these bets, but I'm not going to complain. There's no SEC for sports betting.
Smart way to end it. Absolutely right. You, sir, are safe in this regard, but that's the level of insider insight and access that you're getting on WalterFootball.com. All right, my friend, always a pleasure. I know you and I are both rooting for the same thing, so it's the one time where I can confidently say I'm speaking for you and say go Birds. But anything else you want to get out on the way out, we appreciate everybody. Thanks to Dan producing, and thanks as always to you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for everyone for listening. And yeah, I love the Eagles and Bengals. Hopefully they win, and have fun watching the games.
We'll see you next week.
Sounds good.